Hey guys, it's Mo, and today we are talking about the Heroes of Olympus series. So yes, today we are talking about 10 Heroes of Olympus misconceptions. And these are 10 things that I think the fandom kind of either forgets or interprets wrong, or they may just have a different opinion than I do. I don't mean to be rude to anybody. If you disagree with me, feel free to tell me, leave a comment down below, and we can discuss together, because maybe you can change my mind and maybe I can change your mind. I am definitely a Percy Jackson fan. I love these books. I love Rick Riordan's writing. If you haven't read them, you should go read them. And I'm going to talk about 10 Heroes of Olympus misconceptions today, because a lot of stuff is talked about in the fandom, and there are some things I want to make my opinion on clear, and some things I kind of want to set straight that I think people haven't really thought of. If you haven't read these, I'm probably going to talk about a lot of spoilers, so you should probably go away. Go read these books. Sadly, yes, you will probably have to read all 9 of them in order to understand this video, but go read them and then come back to me, because it's definitely worth it, because this series is amazing. Number 1 is that Percabeth is in your face. This first misconception is that Percabeth is a very obnoxious couple that is always in your face, and they are always doing coupley things. This is definitely a misconception and something people like to complain about a lot, and I definitely do not agree with this. Let's think back to where Percabeth all began. In The Lightning Thief, Percy meets Annabeth and they become friends. They are then best friends for 4 or 5 more years. To say that Percabeth and their relationship and them being too coupley is shoved in the reader's face in The Mark of Athena and House of Hades is almost a ridiculous accusation. They're not just going to go and be a normal couple that's only been dating for a few months, where they don't see each other as often and they don't hang out all the time. That is a ridiculous thing to expect from Percy and Annabeth as a couple. And honestly, in The Mark of Athena and House of Hades, they are hanging out together as friends more often than they are as a couple. They have known each other the longest. Who would you rather hang out with? Your best friend you've known for 5 years, or some random person you just became friends with because you were going on a quest together? Really, the only thing different about Percy and Annabeth being together as Percabeth is their relationship status as a couple and the fact that they can kiss now. Number 2, Piper is a Mary Sue. Piper McLean has her flaws. She's not perfect, and that is totally 100% fine. Piper is not a Mary Sue. I don't even really know how to explain this, because she is just not. She has flaws. She's good at things. She's bad at things. There are so many reasons that Piper is not a Mary Sue. Just because Piper is in love with Jason, she is not automatically only there to be a love interest. We have only known Piper for 4 books, and that may seem like a lot, but we have known Percy and Annabeth for 9 books. So comparing Piper to Annabeth and saying that Piper is therefore a Mary Sue because of that is absolutely a ridiculous accusation, and is definitely a misconception. Piper is not a Mary Sue. Number 3, Jason is unfeeling. Jason Grace gets a lot of crap, and sometimes I think he deserves it, but most of the times I'm like, why? That doesn't even make any sense. Jason is not unfeeling. This is ridiculous. Everyone is saying that he's flat, that he's just a carbon copy of Percy. He's not as good as Percy. Shut up. You have known Percy, like I said, for 9 books. You have known Jason for 4. You don't know Jason's backstory. You don't know anything about him. You have not followed his life like you have followed Percy's life. Just because Jason controls his feelings in a much better and healthy way than Percy does not mean that he's unfeeling. Not letting people see how emotional you are, like Reina does, and holding back your emotions is not necessarily a bad thing. Eventually, yeah, it can lead to being a bad thing if you don't show your emotions at all. Heck, that's like the #1 lesson Spock had to learn in Star Trek. But Jason is a leader. He knows that he has to keep his emotions in check so his team does not suffer for it. Jason is not unfeeling, and if you think that, then you are wrong, because that is definitely a very, very bad misconception about Jason. Number 4, Kaleo is perfect. Kaleo is Calypso and Leo's ship name, if you did not know. And when I was reading the books, I loved Kaleo. I shipped them so hard. I thought it was adorable. I was like, yay, Calypso finally gets a guy. Yay, Leo finally gets a girl. But it is not perfect at all. Rick completely changed her character. The Calypso we met in the Percy Jackson the Olympian series was completely different from the Calypso we met in the Heroes of Olympus series. And even if that is just character development and making her bitter, the weirdest thing about all of this is that it seems like Calypso is forced to love all of these heroes. She is forced to love Leo. Because Rick Riordan's like, oh, well, he needs a girlfriend, let's just give him one. Calypso's here, right? You can maybe argue that she doesn't end up loving him right away. That's true. But she falls in love with him on her own, and that's what makes their relationship good. And I guess I can kind of see that side. Don't get me wrong, I think I maybe still ship Kaleo, but there are definitely problems with it. 5. Nico has a crush on Percy. I'm not going to get into Nico's big reveal and how he was forced to confess about his sexuality, which I don't know why that needed to happen in that way. I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to talk about is this misconception that Nico has a crush on Percy and has loved Percy. So you're telling me that Nico D'Angelo, did all of this crap for love. He secluded himself, went underground, learned from the dead, went to the underworld, became a really creepy death guy because he loved Percy. But I do not think that he still has a crush on Percy. I think that is a big misconception. Yes, we get that very weird Percy saying goodbye to Nico when he's leaving at the end of House of Hades, and he gets all flustered and annoyed. He's like, well, forget it, and then he storms off. I know we get that little scene. If Nico tells us, and he does in House of Hades, tells us that he doesn't like Percy anymore, even if he looks a little unsure, we need to trust Nico's opinion. If you think that Nico still has a crush on Percy, I think that's a misconception. I don't think that's going to pan out that way. And number 6 is that Leo was a jerk to Frank, which made it okay for Frank to be a jerk back. Leo kind of makes fun of Frank or whatever, and from then on, Frank hates him. I would never peg Frank as the type of person, as the type of character, to do something like that. To get so angry at Leo just for making a little comment. People talking about Leo being a jerk, for being mean to Frank. Frank kind of overreacted. I'm not saying Leo is completely innocent in this situation, but he's not completely at fault here either. Just because someone says one mean thing to you, that does not give you personal permission to be mean to them back. That doesn't make it okay because they were mean first. That makes you sound like a 2-year-old. Yeah, well, he started it. Yeah, well, maybe you should be mature and not continue it. Misconception number 7. Percy is overpowered. Percy Jackson is not overpowered. Sometimes, yeah, he does have a lot of powers. His powers seem to be explored more than the other demigods. But he is as powerful as Jason and Nico and Thalia, because they are all children of the big 3. Hazel may not be as powerful as all of them yet, but that is just because she is younger. Percy is almost an adult now. He has pretty much got a handle on his powers. He is of course going to be more powerful, and Jason as well. Jason of course is dealing with kind of memory loss. He's not going to be as great as remembering his powers and as quick on his feet as he usually is when he does have all of his memories. Percy is not overpowered. He's as powerful as the other big 3 kids. He is the son of the second most powerful god in the entire universe. Of course he's going to have a lot of powers, and of course he's going to seem very overpowered compared to everyone, especially when he's with Annabeth so often, who has no powers. The number 8 misconception is that Percy is a sass master. Percy's kind of an idiot. Annabeth doesn't call him seaweed brain for nothing. He's kind of a moron. Percy makes these funny comebacks and they seem kind of sassy, but he's not a sass master. He's not like this hilarious, witty person, this sarcastic little craphead that everyone makes him out to be. He's really not like that. Most of that comes from the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, actually, and in that we hear him in his own head. Most of the comments he makes are in his own head. If I had to pick a character to be a sass master out of the 7, then I would probably pick Annabeth or Leo, because they're the real sass masters. Annabeth is extremely sassy. She's witty, she's smart, she's sarcastic. Percy just kind of says stupid things that we think are funny sometimes. Misconception number 9. This one's a bit of a mouthful. But basically, it's that Jason didn't hurt Reina when he brought Piper to New Rome. Okay, and I know that Jason couldn't just not bring Piper to New Rome, but I see so many people saying and defending Jason and saying that Jason and Reina didn't have a relationship. It does not matter if Piper and Jason are together. And if he never said anything to Reina, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. We get no Jason and Reina interaction, like none at all, and that is absolutely bullshit. They had these insane plans to go travel the world together. They were best friends, they grew up together, and they were praetors together, they worked together, and you're telling me that Reina's not supposed to feel hurt when he brings a new girl home after he lost his memory? Even if Jason and Reina weren't officially together, that's a really crappy thing to do to someone. When you were getting your memory back, you couldn't remember if she was your girlfriend or just a friend. That is how much you two meant to each other. And you're telling me that you're going to defend Jason and say that it's not that big of a deal? Because it is a big deal. Reina deserves more than this. And the 10th and final Heroes of Olympus misconception is the obvious one, is that Percy is better than Jason. Percy is not better than Jason. Percy and Jason are almost the same person. Jason was created to be a blonde and Roman Percy. That is literally what he is. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Jason as a character by saying that. He is, of course, his own character, but he is meant to be just like Percy. He's the leader. Everyone loves him. And this is kind of ridiculous that I even have to say this to you. They have so many things in common. They're natural-born leaders. They're very powerful. They're the leaders of their camps. They have strong and dangerous girlfriends who could totally beat the crap out of them. And you are honestly trying to tell me that one is better than the other? Because honestly, I don't even know who would win in a fight. If Percy and Jason fought every day for 10 days, I am sure that 5 of those days Percy would win and 5 of those days Jason would win because they are so evenly matched. Percy is not better than Jason. The only reason that you could think that Percy was better than Jason is because you've been with Percy for so long. If you like Jason, then you like Percy. If you like Percy, then you like Jason. And I'm not trying to take away anything from their individual characters or their individual struggles or anything like that. I understand that they are 2 different characters. Trust me, I get it. That got very ranty and I'm kind of sorry, but I'm also kind of not sorry. I know my tone wasn't exactly friendly and happy and everything, but I think you know why, and I think you can deal with it. So those were 10 Heroes of Olympus misconceptions. If you disagree with me, fantastic, wonderful. Tell me down below, comment down below. I'm not saying any of these things are my final opinions. I could definitely be persuaded one way or the other, and I definitely think I could persuade you one way or the other. So that is it for this video. Those were my 10 Heroes of Olympus misconceptions. I'm sure I could draw up a list of 20 more, but I'm not going to bore you with that today. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that crap. I will see you Tuesday with another video, and bye! Hey guys! Would you like some of my hair? Battle of Laughs.